Hey, Diddy, Hey everybody, I am Tommy and you were on the lifeboat. I don't know if you noticed those hands at the end, but they're almost real sized. They're actually kind of molded after my paws. I'm sorry that I'm a couple of minutes late. That normally doesn't happen. This was Reese's fault, but I do apologize. Krista Melinda, good to see you. Sweet Liberty. I can't back that up. It had nothing to do with Reese. Sweet Liberty, Krista Melinda, Holly Larson, Chase the Heat. That's my brother Johnny. Clifton, how are you? Roberta, good to see you. Just Joan, how are you? Sweet Liberty is here. Roberta, I might have said that. Truth Finder, what's happening? There's Relatable Reese. Good to see you, babe. Glad that you're here. That's my fiance. But you may have known that. If you didn't know that, then you should probably go over and slap around the subscribe button. Folks, if you could put a link up to her channel, that would be great. Abundantly Empowered. Hey, what's new on the Diddy front? Oddly enough, I'm going to be talking about what's new on the Diddy front. Meredith Lynn, good to see you. How are you? Glad that you're here. This is Ron Bliss. You know, folks, I know I look like an opportunist that is bottom feeding with everyone else that is feeding at the trough of Diddy. And make no mistake, I am. However, I have not covered every single one of these suits. These aren't new cases. They're new lawsuits. Two of them just dropped, and they're coming out fast. And honestly, I'm not covering every one of them. I skipped yesterday's. I just made a passing reference to it because I don't want to get. I feel like this is becoming a problem. And the reason that I'm talking about this one is because they are going to butcher this story. So if somebody doesn't do a halfway decent job about this one, then it's going to get butchered because the way that they are presenting this, in every article you read about it, they say, and we reached out to you-know-who for comment. If you look at the headlines, you'd think this happened at Trump Plaza in New York. Trump Plaza in New York is owned by the guy sitting in the White House, and he lives in the Penthouse. So this is a fun headline. If I had put bombshell after this, but I'm not going to because this is just a hotel. Now, it's a very expensive hotel. It's near Central Park, but it is a hotel. It is not the Trump Plaza, which are privately owned like condominiums or townhomes or whatever you want to call them, high-rise apartments. That's what they're. Privately owned apartments. You buy them, you don't rent them. Although, to be sure, there's a lot of people renting in Trump Plaza. But this is the Trump Hotel, part of the Trump International chain. Now, I know no one is going to see this video. I promise you. I knew when we picked the subject matter. When you say the guy who's sitting in the White House's name, you're done. But he happens to own the building, so we need to talk about it. And I would really like to do a video so that we don't read the headlines that the two of them were hanging out. Now, you know what? Maybe they were, but this sure as crap ain't proof of it, right? At all. That's not really what we got going on here. Let's see what we do have going on here. This is a story broken literally just a few hours ago by the Mirror. In the latest civil complaint against Sean P. Diddy Combs, the rapper was accused of assaulting two women at a Trump hotel in New York City. Now, I would like to stop and say that Sean Puffy Combs is innocent until proven guilty, and that his legal camp, although they have not yet denied these claims, they're going to. And they're going to say something along the lines of, we're not going to come out and comment on every one of these things. They're all stupid because he's never touched a man, a woman, or a child in that way. I'm paraphrasing the crap out of that, but that is what Agnifilo says just about every time. Or I'm sorry, not Agnifilo, but his other one, the lady. Wolf. It's Wolf. I think his name's Wolf. Two separate complaints by Jane Does were filed against the music mogul on February the 4th. That would be today in the New York Supreme Court. Both stories share similarities, including a setting at a nightclub called Limelight before moving to the hotel Penthouse. However, it is not clear at this time if they were concurrently occurring instances. Now, I don't know how you read this and don't come up with the idea in your head that both of these people are describing the exact same event, but I'm going to read it to you and you can come up with your own thoughts on this. In the first lawsuit, according to documents obtained by the Mirror, thank you, the Mirror. Gotta love the Mirror. The plaintiff alleged she was assaulted multiple times by Diddy, including a night where she attended an event at Limelight in Manhattan in the 1990s. Combs organized the event, spanning 5 floors of the club, with the top 2 floors dedicated to exclusive Smex parties involving group sexual activities directed by and involving the diddler, although they said Combs. That is what the plaintiff claims. She claimed that after attempting to leave, she was taken with her friends to the Trump Hotel Penthouse without the ability to leave. They were chemicaled and then forced to participate in group Smex activities, during which she was smexually assaulted over the next several hours. That is the first account. Okay. So you heard that, heard how she got there, where she was. All right. So here's the second Jane Doe. The second lawsuit also cited a night at a multi-story nightclub called Limelight in the 1990s. Top 2 floors of the clubs were exclusively occupied by group Smex parties where individuals engaged in Smex activities at the direction of and in participation with Combs. That's what the lawsuit alleges. The plaintiff alleged she fought with Diddy's security guard before the rapper slapped and detained her. She feared for her life. Then allegedly, the security guard took plaintiff and her friend to the hotel in Midtown Manhattan, where when they got to the hotel, the women were taken up to a penthouse. The documents added, at the penthouse, plaintiff was put in a room with the security guard who assaulted her physically and sexually while Combs watched. Plaintiff and her friends were then forced to take what she believes to have been MDMA, ecstasy, or a similar party drug. Further, both women were forced to engage in group Smex activities that she did not want to participate in, but Combs had made clear that they had no choice and that they were not allowed to leave. After several more hours in the penthouse, Combs finally allowed plaintiff and her friends to leave. The Mirror contacted the office of the President of the United States and a representative of Diddy for comment. Additionally, the Mirror also contacted attorney Tony Busby on behalf of the Jane Does. Busby is the one that filed this lawsuit, right? So obviously it's going to sound similar because, it's going to be worded by the same. If it were 2 different lawyers filing it, even if it was on the same night, it would sound a little different. But it does sound to me like she could have been in the group of friends, both of these people. That poses a serious issue with when you have 2 people, for one event, you have a corroborating witness of sorts, and that's kind of an issue for the camp. It really is for the diddler and his camp. And the reason that I wanted to do this story, because it almost feels dirty to parade out every single one of these lawsuits. I do believe all of these people and their stories need to get out, and they need to get out told in a respective way. But it almost feels like it gets to a point where it borders on ridiculous. So there's a lot of other subject matter that we're going to be delving into. And I'll tell you what, the Ryan Reynolds thing is going to be a hoot for a while. You're also going to see a lot on the Macron thing in France. I'm sorry, folks, but that whole Macron thing is absolutely fascinating. And I'll tell you something else. I don't talk about content creators, but the number of people that have created content in the last 48 hours to say, Diddy just got taken to, Diddy went on the 30th, right? Which was a hot minute ago. We didn't find out about it for days. And a lot of the papers and the people that reported on it are reporting like they found a little bit more out or whatever, but there are still some articles that are dropping on it. But there are people, I was watching a couple of live feeds earlier where people were like, yeah, he got hauled out today. I assure you that that is not the case. Or if it was the case, no one has been made aware of it yet. That he went for that MRI a long time ago, and that's just a story that's getting a lot of Trump Tower. No, I didn't say that. Trump, where Trump lives is not a hotel, correct? But he owns a crap load of properties in New York City and around the country where there are hotels and such. And you know something? He's going to get sued in this. You can almost guarantee it, because honestly, if you look at a lot of the other lawsuits, they take a run at the hotel owners. Not always, but for something like this to go on, a lot of times it's not the fault of Hilton, right? If it happens in a Hilton, or Mr. Red Roof, if it happens at a Red Roof Inn, right? However, the management that's on staff at that Red Roof Inn, or the management that's on staff at any of these facilities, have the ability to mess up really badly. And the problem becomes, look at what happened at the Intercontinental Hotel with Cassie Ventura. It is now alleged that there was $100,000 that was paid for that video, right? $100K. That is what they're saying now, is that Diddy allegedly paid $100,000 to get that video. And if he got that video, it kind of makes you wonder where that leak. I mean, it could have come from a lot of places then. If Diddy had a copy of it, it's kind of wild. Don't you think? Dennis the Menace, what's happening? Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Giovanni's Pikachu, I'm glad that you're here. Sandy Sue, what's happening? Roman Walker, good to have you. Bill Herrera, Rachel Roca, I'm glad you're here. James Collins cares. Jem. So hey, there's Relatable Reese. She's still here. If you got any questions, you can fire them up, and we'll and I can answer them. This is a pretty cut and dry thing. These two women have just filed. There was a lawsuit filed yesterday, and allegedly, we're going to see somewhere between 7 and 11 more coming out of that camp. And as I said yesterday, our friend over at the Tells channel, Tisha Tells, is saying that 48 hours she was predicting before we see Voldemort burst into the limelight. How would that be? I was going to say something that was probably not that nice, but she alleges he's going to get tossed into the limelight in a really big way, and there seems to be a lot of people with that kind of talk. You like the Huggy Bear lid? Yeah, it's definitely got a Starsky and Hutch vibe. I'm a big Huggy Bear fan, by the way. How the big naming of names report. So, Roberta, it has been alleged that it's going to come out on March the 7th. I mean, on February the 7th. It's been alleged that I think that we're watching a game of chess going on currently between hold on one sec. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. They're playing this chess game with the defense. And what they want to do is they want to inundate the defense with as much discovery as you could possibly give them. So let's say you interviewed 300 women or 150 women and 150 men that allege that these kind of activities happened to them, that they were S8 or they were R-worded or they were whatever, beat on, beat up, hit in the head with a fax machine, any of those kind of things that are against the law and can land people in a lot of trouble. But we're going to wind up trying to get them choking on that discovery so that they can't put together a cohesive kind of defense before the March 5th. You see, it was the defense that said, we want a speedy trial. You have a right constitutionally to not be held in jail for 19 months or for 28 months or for 6 years. In banana republics, they lock people up and they say, yeah, we're getting them to trial. We'll get to them. And the next thing you know, 9 years have gone by and the person's still sitting in a jail. So we have laws where if you say, I want to invoke the right for a speedy trial, they're supposed to get you there rapid. And I've never seen anything in the feds as fast as they put out. That Cinco de Mayo date is ambitious. So you have all of this discovery and you interviewed those 300 different people. Well, now we know that there's 3 victims. So out of those 300 people, you're going, all right, Cassie Ventura is one of them, guaranteed. so we could put her aside. And now they're trying to figure out who those other people are, because the rest of that stuff is kind of noise. They dumped so much discovery on you. They can't use all that in the case. That's never what a prosecution does. It takes all of the evidence, these mountains and mountains of evidence. And in this case, they allege it's somewhere around 100 terabytes. Now, I don't know a whole lot about computers, and I know even less about math. As you know, I was told there would be no math. However, a terabyte's a crap load of information. I know that that's 100 terabytes is more than they got in the Library of Congress. And I'm not being funny. I actually looked that up. It also says that you could put 250 full-length Hollywood films on a terabyte. Multiply that by 100. We're talking about a lot of stuff to go through. And if you don't know exactly, if you don't know exactly what they are going to be putting in there, then you don't know exactly what to prepare. So what's happening now is, in my opinion, the prosecution is trying to hold off as long as they can. So what they did was, in my opinion, when they filed the superseding indictment, that's not really a superseding indictment. It's not. I mean, we called it that, but a superseding indictment is an indictment on top of the other ones you already got. We already knew the 3 things he was being charged with. Okay, so we found out that on the human T thing, there were 3 victims, allegedly. It's still just those 3 crimes. They didn't really add anything on. And it looks like that filing was done to try to avoid coming out with that big enterprise letter. And instead, what they did was, in that filing, they put 3 or 4 paragraphs that describes the enterprise of what they were describing Diddy's camp to be doing. How Sean Diddy, Combs, P. Diddy, Daddy Love, all of that garbage, Combs Enterprises and Bad Boy Incorporated or whatever, how all of those things were working together as an entity to procure men and women, young, often men and women, for him to assault and to video and to allegedly, now we have people who are alleging that they were selling these tapes. And I know they're not tapes. They were selling the assault on some kind of a media, say a little zip stick or whatever the hell you got, but they're selling this to people. That is what is being alleged, and it's now come up more than once. Yes. Sorry. Hold on one second. I got some here. I starred. Tommy, the superseding indictment coming number 2, and the enterprise letter got to be dropped by March 17th. Yeah, Christy, here's the thing. That's when it has to be dropped by. They have said, they have given 2 dates that they were alleged to. It was supposed to come. They were supposed to drop this thing on February the 7th, but that is the March the 17th is the final date. If they go past that, then allegedly, or I guess, they're in violation, right? That's when they have to have that thing dropped by. But this is, I don't understand how it's going to be possible for the Diddy camp to take all of that crap and try to figure this out and have it by May 5th. I really hope that they pull it off. I hope that this goes to trial in May, but I just don't see how it's going to happen. And they mentioned in this last superseding indictment that there were more coming. So I believe we are going to see. Now, here's the other thing. It says this is also a misnomer, because you have to have any other superseding indictments in by May the 17th. However, if you find a stiff in a trunk, right, that is in an automobile that's registered to Diddy, or between now and then they decide to do something like take a look at Kim Porter's death and maybe exhume the body or whatever, you can basically, the day of trial, come out with a superseding indictment. If you got something as rank as a body or something really horrific, they'll drop it whenever and they'll just put the thing off. I mean, they're never going to not prosecute a body. They're never going to not do any of those things. Although the judge would like to have all of this. But if there were a bombshell that went off after that, if there was something that they found, or somebody drops one of those, one of these tapes, and we find out that it's got some famous underage star on it doing something he shouldn't do, I promise you that March 17th thing will go bye-bye and they will indict that fool. That's my opinion. That would be my opinion. Crafty Chris. You know, flash drives. Yeah, that could be it. Honestly, I don't know how. I don't know what form of media they put this on. Who knows? Allegedly, some of these go back to the 90s. What were we using in the 90s? We were probably still on tape, right? In the 90s. And we've heard Jamie Foxx tell the story about how he got into the first Diddy parties. I don't know if you guys ever heard that, but he claimed that in order to get into these things, he would go up and go, "Yo, Playboy, I got a camera. Let me document this. Right? Let me film this. You need this stuff filmed." And that's how he got into Diddy parties. That's how he started hanging out with Diddy in the first place. That's what he says. And he said it was one of them big ass cameras, like this big that you had to carry around on your shoulder. And I was early 1990s was college for me, and yeah, we definitely didn't have small video cameras yet. Everything was pretty big. From Connecticut. All right. I love Connecticut. Beatles, 2 writers, 1 producer. Beyonce, 9 writers, 11 producers. You know what, Mouse? I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you at all. I really am not. Saw another civil lawsuit filed, not Busby. Looks like Smex worker, baby oiled and triggered in the music from Las Vegas and trafficked. Yeah. This is, I think, I could be wrong, but what I think we're going to see, because there's everybody talking now about, hey, man, get some thumbnails ready. Like there's something big that's coming down the pike, right? I think we might see another player enter the game. You know what I'm saying? Busby is kind of it, isn't he? So there's a guy, Ariel Mitchell, she's got some clients. And there's a guy up in New York. I think he's representing 3 men. But this is a Busby show, right? It really is. I mean, we think of, it's Agnifilo, right? And Busby is the one that's really leading the charge on all of this, on all of the civil stuff. It seems like it's a fight between him and everybody else. Tommy, what are your opinions and speculations on what could be coming soon for Voldemort? Yeah, I am of the belief that I think that Voldemort is going to be named in a bunch of lawsuits. That's what I think. And I don't think they're going to come from Busby. I think this is jumping the pond. There have got to be cutthroat, bad mamma jamba lawyers out there taking a look at what's going on right now. Because allegedly, and who knows if this is true or not, right? However, we did hear Busby talk about, all of these lawsuits that were coming, and they haven't been coming. Keep it real, they haven't. So are they all getting settled? We're at 35 or something like that. And some of those came from other people. So maybe 30 from Busby. I can't remember the exact number. Busby's a legend, make no mistake. He is, and he's a beast. Like he doesn't back down from anybody. He was not at all cowed by anything that's been going on from the Voldemort camp. In fact, he fires back just as hard, if not uglier. Dude's a beast. Team Busby. Hey, I got nothing against Busby, but how many lawyers do you think are out there looking at what's going on and going, dude, I'll bet you he's settling like this with all of the people that have been through those parties? If these allegations are real, how many people might be out there that have seen stuff? Remember all of the phone calls that they allege came into that 800 number to Busby? Busby did his little press conference, had a big ass 800 number behind them, for all of the people to call in. Huge number. We called in on this show. I mean, we didn't talk to them, but I dialed in so you could hear what the message said and everything else. And they were talking about getting thousands and thousands and thousands of calls, man. Well, maybe not all of them settled on Busby, and maybe there are people out there that are hiring other attorneys. I can't believe that with the bonanza that is going on right now with Diddy, that there aren't more attorneys that are running at this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, there's definitely something coming. There is absolutely something coming. Where's my, hold on one second. Thank you. Sorry about that. So many people called that number. Yeah, I mean, at one point they were talking, the number was up to like 18,000, and that was a really, really long time ago. So God only knows. And look, not all of those are going to be real. You can't believe for a second that all of them are going to be real. But being an attorney, especially in that type of law, this is a very specified kind of law. There are people out there, I promise you, just like anything else, just like people on YouTube chase stories, right? When it was when the Lincoln Park story broke. I mean, you had people in every single genre out there talking about that because there were so many fans of Lincoln Park that people that talked about stuff that, you know, usually didn't have anything to do with music or anything to do with true crime or any, you know, jumped on that. And then there was a Mormon angle, and it was just those kinds of stories kind of get chased around. It's the same kind of a principle. You look fantastic in green, Chris Kaiser. You look absolutely, and I do mean absolutely fantastic in green. And to be honest, I think everybody does. If the second superseding indictment comes, no way the trial starts May 5th. I agree with you, right? I agree with you, right? If there's another superseding indictment, let's say that other superseding indictment has something to do with kids. It's going to push this thing out so far you have no idea. It's going to be like an entirely different case. And you know what? It would require probably a different prosecutor altogether as well. I don't know. Maybe you bring in somebody that's really good at that kind of stuff. Maybe go find an attorney that specializes in that kind of prosecution. I don't know. Maybe James Comey's daughter. Maybe you could get her to do it. Oh, they already did. They went and got her, a month and a half ago, they announced that, maybe a month, that they were bringing her onto the prosecution team. And we speculated at the time, I think a lot of people speculated at the time, that it's an odd choice to bring that person on there to join the prosecution team, unless maybe they know something we don't know, right? Honestly. Even that Diddy troll. Oh, you know what? Here's the thing. I don't think that those guys are stuck, man. Those guys are stuck going to stuff like that. I promise you that's like a hostage situation for them right now. You know, they can't not go to the Grammys. Honestly, it's probably contractual. They probably have to be there. Oh, by the way, good rumors out there. 50 Cent's raising hell. He has so much fun, dude. Wouldn't you like to spend an afternoon with 50? You know, first of all, the guy knows everybody. So when 50 Cent drops T, it's not because he just found something out. It's because he's in the mood to tell you something. Like 50 knows so much of the dirt that went on behind the scenes. His documentary is gonna split some wigs, man. That I'm not joking. That documentary is going to be knocking skulls to the white meat, and he doesn't much care. You've got to love that in somebody. Keeps up like it has so far. Leavenworth sponsors. Next year's Grammys will be brought to you by Leavenworth. Right? Let me think. Lompoc. Or Lewisburg would be even better. Lewisburg's got a theater that'll sit the entire prison. That's a rare thing. They don't build them like that anymore. But and the chandeliers are made of handcuffs that are welded in place. I'm not joking. It's a disturbing ass room. It really is. That would be funny as hell, though, and it's a great take. How many indictments do they have in pocket? That's the question, right? And that's the question everybody's asking. How much have they got sitting in the wings ready to just come out and go, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Because it's going to happen. It has to. Think of all of the civil suits. Now, I'm an idiot or I'm, look, I'll get burned on a lot of these cases because I'm going to believe the women even after sometimes it's hard to believe the women. I'm going to hang with it for as long as humanly possible until we know that it is not true. However, we're going to get burned. There are going to be some people that are going to come out of the woodwork. And I think you can call me a crazy conspiracy guy, but I think we're going to see it as a smoke screen. You know, you can't, if you're a PR firm and you're hired to try to help someone in the situation that these, like a Diddy kind of a character finds himself in, what do? You go out and you shoot videos about the kind things that he did when he was in business and all of the careers that he helped start. You got a better chance of just coming out with the craziest stories you possibly could, muddying the water so much that nobody can tell fantasy from reality. And that worries me. It really does, because the stories keep getting better, right? I've been in the Diddy versus now for a hot minute, and I don't mean that the stories that are breaking are better, but people are telling stories better and better and better, and that's scary. Not exactly sure when the 50 Cent doc is coming out, but what I can tell you is this: there's a lot of people trying to stop it from coming out. There are a lot of people that are scared stiff about that damn documentary because he doesn't care. And when he was interviewed, we talked about this a few shows ago. When he was interviewed, he said, "Man, this is bigger than Diddy. This isn't about Diddy, right? That's a part of it, but it's about the whole thing. It's the whole story, how all of that came together. You know what that means, don't you? Voldemort. That's what that means." 50 Cent, Cat Williams for sure have dirt. Jaguar Wright knows a lot, but some things I find sketchy, in my opinion. Well, you know something? The people, I never tell people how to think. You know what I mean? And it's not. I really don't, whether you believe that or not. I will give you my opinion, heavy, and in my personal opinion, I'm done doubting people that have made me. Now, let me rephrase that. There are things I need answers on that she can't answer, and I understand why she can't answer it. And that's a hump situation to be in, but I do understand it. Now, I'd like to think a day is coming where there are some questions that I could get answered, because I do believe an awful lot of what that woman says. I really do. She's been very, very solid, but you know what? Here's the problem too. The problem is that the world that they lived in is so damn debaucherous that you hear some of the stories and go, can't be real, man. You know, that is absolutely cannot be real. Trisha Kelly, I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'll probably be able to announce that in the very near future. But we're working on it. Hi, Tommy. Bit late. Just wondered if you messaged Jaden Smith's his head castle, and how I think it could be making the bigger statement of the night, the biggest rather. That could be Chateau de. You know something? So on yesterday's morning show that I do with Casper, we pulled up the image of Jaden Smith. Right, this is Will Smith's kid, and if you're new to the Smith family and their drama, I'm so sorry. I really am. Don't go down that rabbit hole. Honestly, don't go down that rabbit hole. It will just bum you out. If you're not already in the know about what a freak job family the Smiths are, in my opinion, and everybody else's opinion on planet Earth. Keep that real. Allegedly, there was a reason the kid wanted to get emancipated at 15. Allegedly, they kind of handed him off to people in the industry. One who allegedly, he was handed off to one who currently resides at MDC Brooklyn. And there's just a lot of smoke. The kid said a lot of really weird things. And oh, by the way, his dad has tried to stick his tongue down his throat on 3 or 4 different talk shows, including, guess who? Ellen DeGenerate. He got on there and he's like, "What? Come on, it's a dad. You know, come on. I like to give you a kiss." And he's trying to kiss his son on the mouth. And I don't know, maybe you do that in your house. It's all good, you know, but it's creepy as hell if you do it for the entire world while your son's trying to shove against you with both hands, you know, and going, you know, knock it off. And then he's done it again on 2 or 3 other places. It's, I don't know. You know, it didn't age well. I thought it was pretty damn creepy then. Thank you, Mortis. I thought it was pretty damn creepy then. Now we look at it through the lens of what we know was going on in 2025. Well, it aged like a fine milk is what it aged like. It's just not right, man. It's just not right. So the kid goes to this award ceremony and he's wearing this huge, and by huge, I mean huge hat that kind of looks like a castle. You know, it's kind of the squared off numbered thing, and where the kind of the entrance is, well, that's where his grill is sticking out of. And there has been a lot of speculations that hat is where he may have had things done that And you're not the first person to, or you're not the first person that I have heard say that. Heard a couple of content creators that have been talking about this, and one of them is actually chasing down some images and some things. I will try to get that for the morning show over on after the bars. And listen, big thanks to everybody that went by and checked out the book last night. I appreciate you. There, hold on 1 second. You know, every once in a while. That was Christopher Cross. I'm surprised you didn't know that. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So I want to thank everybody that went by and checked out Alice in Wonderland. This is a pretty cool program. It's a bit of a labor of love. It's my favorite story ever. And Casper is uploading the chapters. I don't think there's any going up today, but I think the next 2 or maybe the next 3 are going up tomorrow, and then it'll be the following day. And the following day we load them up and then we get them. So it's locked and loaded. But I think you may be right. And one way or the other, what's up? You know, that poor kid, man. You know, the things he said out of his mouth, right? We don't have to say allegedly. Like out of the kid's mouth, he said when he was fighting with his sister and they was really having some struggles around the house, his mom intervened to try to help and said, you know what would really level the two of you out? Some psilocybin. What you kids need to do is eat some mushrooms. This is what the kid said. Mom helped out the infighting in the family with a nice trip among brother and sister. And look, you know what? My brother and I tripped on shrooms when we were kids. I mean, we were really young when we started doing that garbage. But I think I'd be pretty creeped out if it was my mom suggesting that we did it. I think that might have been a little harder on my dome. And if you're famous, right? If you're famous and you do that, you're an idiot. Because at some point, your kid's going to write a book, or at some point, your kid's going to tell the world. And the kid's telling the world, by the way, at the same time that his mom was running a school, right? His parents had just started a school, and the kid's out there telling the world that, yeah, when my sister and I were fighting, mom introduced some, hallucinogenics into our life. Hey, parent the way you want to. It's not in the Lifeboat Guide to Good Parenting, Book 101. I skipped that entire section. Got sidetracked with mayhem. I know who that is. That is my partner in crime. I know you guys think that's probably Spanx Calhoun. That is not. That is the man that has been doing wonders with the intro and the outro and the new look of the boat. I was going to say my partner in crime, but you know what? If I say that, the trolls will make a short out of it and call the FBI. But don't trip. We're going to be calling them ourselves. How's that? Hold on 1 second. Isn't part of the fame thing public humiliation like wearing skirts for men? That's a great question. So it has been alleged by a lot of people, particularly in the Black entertainment community, that if you want to get past that glass ceiling. Yes. Peter Nygaard? Yeah, I know exactly who Peter Nygaard is. And he's a creep. Yeah. If you guys know who he is, put a 3 in the chat. If you don't, put a 4 in the chat. So there's kind of a glass ceiling that they say, especially like in comedians in particular. If you want to get to that next level where they're going to say to you, all right, you're going to get 4 HBO specials. We got 3 movies, and they got your whole career lined out in front of you. So you really don't have to worry about anything. You're not sweating it in the clubs. You're actually just going in there and getting everything you wanted, one right after the other. Now, that kind of thing doesn't happen. Excuse me. That kind of thing doesn't happen. What happens is you go out and you make your bones and you get up on stage and you go to the Comedy Factory, and you go to the Laugh Store, and you hit all of these different places, and you get your chops, right? And you get people, you prove that you can do this, and you stick around long enough, and then hopefully you kind of break your way in, right? You kind of break your way into the system. Or maybe you take an egg in the backside, because it is alleged that there are people who jumped the curb and got there a lot quicker. And there's a lot of people that think that short fella might have got there quick that way. You know what? Let's talk about this. Kevin Hart threw on a dress after he said he wouldn't. Guess the boss had other ideas. Yeah, it was an interesting thing, right? he's in an interview and he just got real. He just got very candid. Now, it has been alleged by Cat Williams that he's turned down $50 million on 4 different occasions. I believe that's what he said. To keep his integrity and to protect that, right? Keep it intact. But he made reference to Kevin Hart. He said, who remembers anybody seeing Kevin Hart or waiting in line for a sold-out Kevin Hart show? Who remembers ever seeing this guy at any place? And he sort of throws it out there, man. He's not very nice to Kevin Hart. But Kevin Hart does seem to have taken off like a rocket ship instantly out of nowhere. And he is suggesting that doesn't happen very often. And if it does, it's because you kind of cut a deal with the devil, so to speak, or a deal with Diddy, or a deal with whoever. But it kind of always seemed to have the idea of you're going to be on the down low, whether you like it or not. And that's an expression that often gets used to mean, guys that are being guys that are doing gay stuff. They may have a girlfriend to hide the thing. They call her a beard, right? Or a wife. They refer to that as a beard, I guess, because it covers something up. I don't know exactly, but that's what they call that. Cat is a good-looking guy, but 50 million. Damn, right? Right, Mouse? What's up? I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but 50 million, man. I do it for 30. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Come on, people. These are the jokes. These are the jokes. That's actually from a movie. I wish my fiance was here because she would have got that. I got him 10. It just seems like that. Thank you, Lisa Trimble. Lisa Trimble is turning people green, tossing them out like hot sauce packets, and it is appreciated. If you guys turned green and everybody looks better in green, you can thank Lisa Trimble. It is greatly appreciated. Oh, boy. Now, look, I'm not the kind of guy that would allow something like this to be said on my channel. So I'll just put up someone who said it on my channel. I'm kidding, but honestly, thank you, Liam Wood. I really appreciate that. It's a very nice thing to say. My own eyes and ears. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. But Kevin Hart has been alleged that Kevin Hart got into his business now by moving through the ranks, by being around Diddy and people like that. And you could go, come on. I don't know. Really, though? I mean, did they spend time together? Right? Did they? Someone asked him about freak offs and this and that, and he goes, wrong question, right? And then the person says, when you hosted those Diddy parties, and if you listen to that whole tape, man, you can tell me what you think, but it sounds to me like he said, I wasn't hosting parties. Man, the whole internet, you did it live stream. They live streamed that, folks, like I am right now. Kevin Hart with a microphone going, here we are at Diddy's. Yeah, no joke, man. Girl's hair on fire in the bathtub while he's laughing. That's a creepy scene, the whole thing. Because in that video, there is an interaction between Diddy and Kevin Hart, and in walks Usher. Now, when Usher came in, they were already talking, and he said, no homo, telling him he wanted him standing farther away from the bed. Look careful on that bed, and you will see a marital aid, right? I think it's one of the things you put on the end of the Bang-O-Matic 5000 or whatever that thing's called. A large prosthetic penis about this long, made of rubber, on the bed, Diddy's bed, right? And Kevin Hart's trying to move so that the camera moves away from all of that, right? And Usher walks in, and he's just coming off stage. He had just, I think it was Madison Square Garden, but he had just come off stage or something along those lines. And Diddy breaks into this story about when Usher was first, we first met him when he was a little kid, and they would wrestle in the morning, in the bed. They'd wrestle in the morning in the bed every morning for cornflakes, for a box of cornflakes. And Kevin Hart is blown away by this, man. Blown away by this. He's like, what the hell is the matter? Did you just hear what this dude said? Laughing, thought it was the funniest thing in the entire world. It's a creepy clip, man. I'm not a fan of Kevin Hart, folks. I'm not much of a fan of freaking Hollywood these days anyway, keep that real. But that little sawed-off number, he's really, really distressing. How do you think the Grand Slam Denny's special treatment will be brought up in a court case? I like what you've done here. It's always a possibility. I think that there's a decent chance. Official Sean Atwood clips. What's happening? Holy crap! Sean Atwood in the house, folks. That's freaking royalty right there. That's no joke, man. That's the real deal, Holyfield. But so just to recap, because I know a lot of you got here late, you're gonna see a lot of thumbnails that are gonna try to give you the impression that the two lawsuits that were just filed in the Southern District of New York against Diddy took place where our president used to live, right? Because he lived in the penthouse of a Trump building in New York, and they keep making the headlines look funky. He was in a hotel. The hotel was in Midtown Manhattan, and allegedly, now of course his camp denies any of these things ever happened, or they will in the morning, just as soon as they wake up. Is Ryan Reynolds bad as well? Oh boy, can I answer that question for the next 2 weeks? And the answer is yes. Yes, he is, but not the same way at all. Give me 1 second, I'll ask that. Tommy, do you think the casting couch extends to all big industries besides Freakwood, sports, business, and the like? I think that in sports, you're kind of paid pretty specifically on a skill set that you bring that, I don't know, they can kind of do without you. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily need you as an agent. They can go get another one. The casting couch with sports, I think, is a little bit tougher. If you look at things like how the recruiting process goes for the Columbine or for the Combine rather, or any of those sort of qualifying events that they have for the pros, would probably eliminate some of that. However, I think it happens in business every single day. Every day it happens in business in one way or another. Absolutely. Here's the thing. If there are people on this planet where if you put them in a position of authority where they have the right to give you a raise or not, or they have the right to fire and hire and do those things, they're going to work that for their base, level, kind of the low life scum of who they are. That's going to come out, and that's what we were watching happen in a lot of these industries. And we recently heard about a case in New York where this allegedly happened with cops. The people that were booking overtime were booking whammers in order to get the overtime. It's a pretty sad world. But that's anytime you give somebody that kind of an authority, I can make your day, or in Diddy's case, I can make every dream come true you ever wanted. But I hold the reins. It's always about power, and it's always these freaks that do this. It's a power thing. Really kind of disgusting. But certainly in fashion and music, yeah. A lot of areas, it's just gross. It really is. It's gross. The Ryan Reynolds. So here's the deal on Ryan Reynolds. I think Ryan Reynolds, the character that you see him play on Deadpool, he's that guy all the time, unless we're not around looking at him. And then he might be screaming at people, but he plays a part 24/7. That's my opinion. And we're getting a chance to see behind the curtain. And he's done and I'm not saying allegedly. Just go read the stuff and tell me what you think. This is an underhanded dude, man. This is a guy that was playing all kinds of games with somebody's life. And the guy that was directing the film and starring in with his wife in the film, Baldoni, he tried to destroy this man's life. And he didn't try to destroy his life by going in and saying he's a bad director. He said, you're a sexual predator, he tells the guy. Gets him fired from William Morris. And you go, how could that happen? Well, because the PR person you hired to handle this was married to the guy that runs William Morris. Then William Morris fires that guy. Think they might have talked about it at the house? What do you think? Think they might have talked about it at the house? Here's the bad thing. We got to do the allegedly shuffle half of our life, right? You don't have to do the allegedly shuffle when somebody involved in one of these suits takes the unprecedented step of saying, how about more information instead of less information? What is alleged in this is that there were they took isolated pics, screenshots of text messages, and then they played with them allegedly, to make it look like things were said that they weren't. But the best part of this story, and you're going to see this come out because I'm going to cover the crap out of this story, man. I'm having a good time with this one. I'm going to cover the crap out of this, I promise you. But what's going to be the it was either Sony or it was Wayfair or it was somebody somewhere had the bright idea that they're looking at this going, this is going sideways. This is a shit show. We're in deep trouble. So what they said, to cover their assets, keep the cameras rolling. Just keep rolling film. Because if these people are beefing or if it looks like that's what's getting fired up, record everything. So the alleged hostile work environment, I guess the jury will be able to watch that film and let everybody know whether or not they think it's a hostile work environment because they never stopped filming. That is what has been alleged, that they never stopped filming. Booyah! How cool is that going to be? You know, you think to yourself all the time, boy, if I could have been a fly on the wall. I am doing well, my man. I am doing well. Good to see you. Always good to have the Atwood family in the house. I wonder if Leo will escape this. Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio? I think he already kind of has. You know, we'll see if he's one of the people that gets named in this. He certainly got out of the country. He has managed to escape the heat of this. I think in a large part because nobody goes outside anymore, man. You know what I mean? They're all keeping their head down. Do you realize that nobody has spotted KK since this started? All of her social media has been deleted. This woman has fallen off of the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Gone. Now, 2 theories, right? 3 theories. So a lot of people say she's probably in some kind of a witness protection. You know, like they're probably protecting her. The government's probably protecting her. I think there's a decent chance that that's the truth. I think there's a decent chance that's the truth. Or, you know, maybe not. Good night, my friends. This is, if they would have a Diddy case on court TV, oh man, how good would that be? But what we're going to get instead, and I'll tell you what, I promise you this is the case. You're going to get some rock stars. There are going to be people that are going to come out of that courtroom. And they're going to describe to you what they saw over the course of about 3 or 4 hours. There are going to be people that stare at Combs to look at the reactions. There are going to be people that are listening to every bit of testimony. And it's going to be like the old days, right? It's going to be like the old days where the door would open and everybody would run for the payphones and they would call their the guy at the newspaper and say, you know what? Extra. You know, midnight print, go to the presses. They got a hot news story. The difference is it's such real time that you're not going to know, you're not going to see what's going on in there, but there are going to be people that step outside that courtroom and then tell you everything that happened that day. And if they're good at it, it's gonna be one of those things that it's gonna make some people famous, man. I promise you it is. There are going to be some rock stars that come out of that. Diddy's drug dealer is probably, you know what? Man, I want to tell you something. How are you going to argue with the logic of this? I'm not saying it's true, right? But can you understand how you could make a damn good argument for that? That's a lot. That's a lot of. Here's the thing: if it was vials, it was bottles this big. You know, one of those bottles is a decent amount of G. I mean, we don't know what suspension is in there. We don't know if it takes a capful or if it takes a small capful or whatever it is. But who needs that crap with 1,000 bottles of it, man? And if there wasn't anything cool in it, I don't think they would have taken all 1,000 bottles out of there for evidence. I mean, you could have taken a picture of them and then just sort of said, there is not a single innocent billionaire. Not yet. Right? I don't really know if that's true or not. When I get there, too late for me to be innocent. It's probably way too late for me to be innocent, to be really honest with you. All right, so listen, one last thing. I don't want drama ever, so I do what I can to try to keep everybody feeling chipper and kind of on the same page. So I'll ask people things like, hey, what do you think of us doing this for a story or us doing that for a story? How do you feel about the story of the Macron This is breaking the internet right now. I'm not playing. Whether or not the president of France, whether or not his wife is indeed a woman, or whether or not she was born a man, and all of the surreptitious crap that has gone on behind the scenes to cover that. This is exploding as a story, right? It really is. It's exploding as a story. And the YouTube sleuth that has been working on this is actually getting letters from Macron. Macron is writing freaking letters to a YouTuber. That's got to make you happy. I'm sorry. That's just got to make you happy. You know, are you a little concerned? You just wrote a letter to I mean, man, I guess she's not a troll, huh? I guess what she's saying isn't BS. Because if what she's saying is BS, people just don't respond. There's no reason to respond to BS. Why is Macron writing a letter to a YouTuber? Yes, 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 do it. Okay. Well, here's the thing. We get into a lot of legalities with this too. Because the story, as it's alleged, there were crimes committed in this, depending on whether or not how this story goes. You know, allegedly she met Macron, and they had always said at 17, man. 17. Turns out it was 15, which is the age of consent in France, or was at that time. Unless, of course, the person that you're with is a teacher or a coach or a cop or some position of authority, you understand? Some position that would make it easier for somebody to groom. Like his teacher. Brigitte was his teacher, right? Pretty sure his wife used to be his teacher. In fact, I'm 100% sure of that. The NFL is another nefarious community that will never get a penny of my hard-earned and never have public statements made not supporting. There you go. There you go. Well, here's the thing. You're not alone in this. They took a hit. They took a massive hit. And, you know, I remember saying to a bunch of people when it first happened, I don't care. I'm sorry, I don't. I understand they're trying to make a point or whatever, but I said, and then I saw a black guy standing in a Marine uniform with a bunch of medals and crap on his chest. It was in a newspaper. But this dude was standing there on 2 prosthetic legs because he had lost them. I don't know, Afghanistan. Well, you know, one of those places. If it wasn't there, it was probably Iraq. But he lost his legs in combat. And he's standing there like that. And there's like 20 dudes who are making $1 million a year for throwing and catching a ball on their knee. And I just said that was it. I wasn't going to watch any more of it. And I have not missed it. It is, and it's just a personal thing. You can do whatever you want in your life. But it freed up a lot of time for me to do a lot of other things, man. You know, I watch an awful lot of stuff. I read an awful lot of stuff. I'm not joking, folks. It takes a crap load of time to go through all of this stuff. You know, and right now, people, it's so much fun when there's a plethora of stuff to talk about. The Macron story is a good one. It really is. It's a good story. Now, look, I don't care what you want your agenda to be. It's your friggin' business, 100%. No one's got any right to give you any crap about it, unless you marry a president and lie to the entire country. You're a public freaking figure. I mean, the top of the food chain, public friggin' you know, you can't get any more public than that. And then you weave this BS story through the entire thing that's not making sense to anybody. And your husband takes his picture, right? He gets this picture taken for his freaking look. When you become the president, what do they call it? The presidential photo, right? The presidential photo is a book written by a pederast, written by a freak. About kind of, you know, about grown men having relations with young boys. One book in the entire photo, and that's the book. We covered it this morning on over with my partner Casper on After the Bars. We got a picture of the book up there. You can go and check it out. It's a pretty good show. Did I watch the Grammys? Woofy, I got to be honest with you, my brother. You would have to drag me behind a car, right? Throw me out of a building. And when I was finally completely incapacitated, You'd have to strap me down in a chair and then do that number that they did in A Clockwork Orange to get me to watch the Grammys. However, I catch people that I trust online, kind of like you guys are doing. I watch people that I trust to kind of see their take. There are some shows that just talk about fashion, and you can go over there. And I went to some of those and just looked at what the people were wearing. I don't have a problem supporting that person. You know, that person that's got a small channel or whatever. I don't have a problem supporting them. I'm not gonna let the Nielsen's or anybody else think I'm watching that crap. But I understand why a lot of people watch it, because honestly, for some, it's just damn funny, right? I mean, she won best country album. People go, why would she win for? Well, because if you don't, maybe you forgot, but the king of New York said, how is it possible that she never won Album of the Year? With all the other Grammys she's won, with all those songs and everything else, they were on albums. There was never an Album of the Year. That doesn't even seem fair. It doesn't even seem right, right? He gave that big ass speech. I could have told you that day she was going to win the next time. I could have told you that day. Yep. Next year, Bebe going to win it. You watch. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yeah, Clockwork Orange is a heavy one, isn't it? Heavy, heavy. And the book. I'm sorry, I hate to sound like every jerk that reads, but the book is so much better than the movie. It's a damn good movie. The book is incredible. You know that language that they're always talking in there, the slang. They got a whole like dictionary in the back of the book of that slang and where it came from and the explanations. It was fascinating read. I think this is an opinion, but it's an opinion that's been backed up by an awful lot of folk, right? She looks like she might have a chemical problem. She looks like she might be strung out on dope. And there are people that allege that. You know who says it all the time? All the time. Our friend Jaguar Wright has said, make no mistake, that girl's got a habit. And it has been suggested by other folk that maybe he fostered that habit a little bit. I don't know. I can promise you this. Everything that we said today, they would deny. And all of these guys are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Yes, sir. Right? They are. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. They drink the super milk. They drink something. They really do. I'm making a whole lot of thumbnails that have Voldemort's picture on them. And I'm getting them locked and loaded because let's just say that I'm a believer. I'm a believer, and I believe that 2025 is the year that those who have used money and power to steamroll people, good people, just wanted to work, spent their whole life polishing a craft, only to find out that they've got to pretend to be sexually attracted to someone that's not even of the gender that makes them aroused. But you want to be a star, right? You do want to be a star, right? How bad do you want to be a star? We heard that, right? We heard that in one of the first suits that Busby ever came out with, from the youngster. He asked the kid to drop his trousers. You didn't see what he was working with? Remember that? That party out in the Hamptons? And allegedly, that's what he said to him. This is, how do we know we can trust you? This is how it's done in the industry. What's wrong? Don't you want to be a star? If that's true, that is what this boy alleged, and I got no reason, he's a man now. I got no reason to doubt the person until it's proven otherwise. But with allegations like that, what kind of soul do you have to say that to a kid? The answer to that is you don't need one at all in order to say that. Truthfully, that's what it comes down to. Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Derek Jackson, looking good in green. Hey, you know what? Those guys being the best of friends sounds an awful lot like political talk on the channel. So do me a favor and knock that off. It doesn't pay off. Know what I mean? Doesn't pay off. A lot of us own our own homes, right? If somebody knocks someone off in your home while you weren't there, it wouldn't make you kill it. We got to start looking at the fact that if you are wildly famous, and I do mean wildly famous, then you do not miss red carpet events because they're set up by your publicists. Those people I was talking about earlier on my last show, they make sure that you're at every one of those events. That's how they get their juice cards. They all play these games where they go, "Hey, listen, man, this is one of my clients' this is his birthday party, man." So they share agents, they share these things. So all of these people get together and say, "Call everybody you got on the list. I want everybody out there for Queen Latifah's birthday party, or everybody out there for Diddy's 41st." You look at who was at that party. I don't care what political party you voted for, because everybody from both sides of those parties were there. It was an event. See, the world didn't know what a scumbag the guy was at that point. But you know what? The fact that we know they were all there is because pictures were taken of all of them. That makes sense, right? We know they were there. They took pictures of them. They took pictures of them on the ground floor, right? While the sun was still up. What's alleged is that when the party is over and everyone is gone, then it starts to get rowdy. Right now, during the party, there might be a little nudity. There might be some people that are doing the nasty in the corner or whatever. Someone's boffing on a piano bench. But those are individuals doing things. This is what has been alleged by people that have written for massive magazines that went to a bunch of these parties that said, make no mistake, it was going on. But it wasn't going on where anybody saw it. And those bottom floors had hired photographers walking around and taking photos. You can go to Getty Images and look through a gazillion of those pictures. I did. I wanted to find the smoking gun. When this first started, man, I'd spend like 6 hours going through those things. You know what I found out? I found out if you just start hanging people for being in a picture with that fool, then everybody hangs. Everybody famous. Sorry, that fool got around. You got to realize he was massive in the music industry. He was massive in the fashion industry. He's a bad man. Real bad man. That rumor started getting out about the 2000s. Some people talking about it maybe in the 90s. By the 2010s, everybody in the world kind of knew, right? I tell you what, I'm a fan of JD Delay. And what I will say is, I don't know where JD gets his sources, but I know he's got more than I do. That said, I can't find a damn thing that says that this guy left MDC Brooklyn. He did leave MDC Brooklyn on the 30th of last month. However, you know something? A lot of times, big creators, and JD Delay's a big creator. A lot of times you hear a story like this, and when I was brand new doing this stuff, I'd say stuff like, "Man, that's stupid. Ain't nobody reported on that or whatever." And then the next day you find out that this guy has got a source and he's leaking this stuff a day before people hear about it, because Diddy went to the hospital on the 30th of January. Go look at when I reported on that, because I sure as hell didn't do it on the 30th of January. It takes a long time. So maybe he went again, and maybe JD knows something. I'm certainly not going to say no, that's wrong. What I'm going to say is, I don't have any way of backing that up, right? But what I've been able to chase down is that the guy went to the hospital. He was gone for about 3.5, 4 hours. They brought him back, and he's been there since. You know what? That's not such a bad thing, right? It's looking on the bright side. I absolutely love that. Look at this. I thank Diddy very much. My eyes have been opened, and I seem to have awoken, and now can see clearly the evil that comes out of Hollywood. You know what? That's a good thing, man. Who is JD Wolfie? JD is a guy by the name of JD Delay, and JD Delay has he was a convict. He is a convict. This guy that went to prison, and good solid white boy, and he's got he's got a message. He'd like to get rid of everybody on planet Earth that's ever hurt a kid. And you can't really get too pissed at anybody for that. But he also has a message that talks about, positive stuff and the fact that we can all turn our lives around. He has successfully left prison to become a real stand-up cat. And I root for everybody that has done that. And he's got a massive, massive channel talking about prison stuff and things. So yeah, I'm a fan of JD. I really am. But I've not been able to chase that down. There was another one that said, I saw JD in his story. I haven't watched the video yet. Somebody just sent me a screenshot of it, but it said that Diddy something about the death penalty. Maybe he knows about a superseding indictment that's coming up. I haven't seen that yet. Right. I haven't seen anything in the paper. That's right. The wood chipper. That's where they belong. But I haven't seen any paperwork just yet that would lead me to believe they could give him the death penalty. But we all know that there's probably a superseding indictment coming that could, and maybe JD knows what that superseding indictment has been. JD's been ahead of the curve on a few things in the past, man. He has. Knows a lot of people. When you got over 1 million subs, there's a lot of people reaching out to you to give you info. I'm a lowly little channel working my butt off. A lot of you actually help me out. You really do. Some of the best stories I've ever gotten have come in from the crew. True story. All right, folks, you know what I'm going to go do? I want to go play with my cat. But I want to thank everybody for showing up every day. You guys rock. You really do. These are the greatest mods in the business. They work really hard for me. I love you guys. To the replay crew, you guys keep the boat afloat. And to those of you who stuck around to the very end, you always make my heart swell. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. And do me a favor, make sure that you hit subscribe to Johnny Scoville's channel and his new kitty channel, and his relatable Reese as well. All right, guys, we'll see you mañana or tomorrow, whichever comes first. Good night.